I'm often asked why there are 9 motivators in Motivational Maps. And the answer again is complex. In looking at the various models I used to create the maps, clearly the Enneagram had 9 types of personality. So that was very strong motivation to align the maps with the 9 types. But when I looked at the Shine career anchors, there are in fact 8 career anchors, so that didn't quite fit. But there was some research done by an Israeli university subsequent to Shine's work, which looked at his model. I think it was Nira Danziger was the key lead researcher. But basically, what they found was the model was valid. Shine's model they validated, but they said he had the wrong number of career anchors. And they came up with there should be 9. And so they divided it. So one of them in particular, they split into 2. They said there was 2 motivators, 2 drivers there rather than 1. So there was 9 effectively to my way of thinking, and I mapped the 9 Enneagrams onto the motivational maps. I looked at the career anchors and I could map 8 on, and there was this one extra one which didn't quite fit the model. And then I broke down the Maslow, and I found I could make, again, 8 or 9 Maslow distinct hierarchical combinations. And so what I'm trying to say to you is that this is not a perfect fit. It's not like I got, the Enneagram, Maslow, Shine, they all completely fit into one system, because if that had been the case, anyone could have discovered it. But what I discovered was this kind of 8 out of 9 seemed to fit. And there was this kind of little bit of residual stuff at the end of it all. I'm currently writing a book for Gallup Publishing called Mapping Motivation that should be out next year. And I intend to put in that the graph which will demonstrate the overlap between the 3 models and motivational map, and where in fact they don't quite fit. But I felt entitled at the end of it to think, well, it seems to me there are 9. The Enneagram's the core one anyway for me, so I'm going to stick with 9. And you'll be pleased to know I'm very interested in pyramidology. I'm very interested in the Egyptians. I read extensively in this, and the Egyptians 3,000 years ago had the Ennead, and the Ennead were the 9 gods of Egypt, the most important 9 gods. I felt that this was a symbolic spiritual number, and that the universe was conspiring with me, along with the research I'd done, into making 9 the number. One final thing to say about this, though, which I think is really interesting, is I regard motivational maps as being an organic model. Because it is based on the hierarchy of needs, what we're really saying is that all 9 motivators are present in everybody. In fact, the Enneagram says the same. Everyone's got the 9 types, but one is dominant. So it's not as if one has read a series of textbooks and said, well, according to the textbooks, recognition is a motivator, or autonomy is a motivator, and you've listed things. Because I've seen tools where they've got 11 motivators, or they have a different number of motivators. These to me are what I call discrete tools. They've simply taken ideas, written a questionnaire around it, and these elements are all separate. The thing that you will know if you do the motivational map is it's organic in the sense of which it doesn't matter what your motivator is, they're connected with other motivators, and they have properties which go way beyond motivation. So for example, properties of whether or not you are slow or fast in making a decision. Properties of whether or not you are dominantly feel orientated or think orientated. So there are properties because the model is organic and not discrete. And that's a very, very important part of it. And it's a reason why, again, I feel compelled to say that the 9 is a valid model. It's a highly valid model. Belbin, which is also a self-perception inventory, has now got, he had 8 originally, he's now got 9 types of team players. So it seems to me, it's not that I was trying to copy these people, but there's a lot of things where the number 9 seems to be very, very relevant and very organic, and it works.